Today, from Taiwan, it's Dan Bing. These Taiwanese egg crepes can transition from street food to your table in just a few easy steps. And later, I'll show you how amazing these can look when the camera is off and there are no obstacles in my kitchen. So first, the crepe batter. So we'll start with a half a cup of flour, and to that we'll add 1 cup of water and about a half a teaspoon of salt. Simply speaking, a crepe is a very thin pancake without any rising agent. This 2 parts water to 1 part flour is a perfect equation for these crepes. So whisk this together until blended completely, and then let it rest to fully hydrate. Now, one thing about crepes is that, like an omelet, it can be filled with almost any savory ingredient you choose. Unlike your average omelet, crepes can also be made sweet as well. Traditional Taiwanese Dan Bing is made with eggs, scallions or green onions, about a teaspoon of black pepper, and a half a teaspoon of salt. And that's it. It's very simple, but as we all know, many times simple is the best. Of course, you can add whatever you'd want, and at the end of this video, as I said earlier, I'll show you an example of a Dan Bing that I made one day for myself for breakfast that was not filmed, where I used cheese, cabbage, as well as the green onions. And it was very delicious. Heat up a 10 to 12 inch non-stick frying pan and melt some butter in the pan. And of course, you can use a crepe pan if you have one. Once the butter is melted, use a paper towel to wipe up any excess butter. We'll use this paper to wipe out the pan in between the crepes to clean it, as well as to re-butter the pan. Turn the heat down to medium-low. You want the pan hot, but not so hot that the bottom of the crepe burns before it sets and cooks. Once your pan is hot enough, give the batter a quick stir to reincorporate it, since it will settle during this resting period. Add just enough batter to cover the bottom of your pan. Swirl the batter around to make sure that it's evenly distributed. It's okay if the batter goes up the sides of the pan just a little bit. Just like with pancakes, oftentimes the first crepe tends to be sacrificial because you don't know how hot your pan is and you don't know exactly how much batter to put in. But it looks like in this case I got lucky. If you accidentally add too much batter, just tip the pan and drain the excess batter back into your batter or into a separate bowl. And allow the crepe to cook on one side for 2 minutes or until it looks like this. This one cooked for about 2.5 minutes, but times will vary depending on how hot your pan is. It's not necessary you turn the crepe over. I'll show you the outcome of turning them over and not turning them over as we move along here during this video. So this is a totally optional step at this point. Once your crepe is cooked through, in this case at 2 minutes on this other side, add about 1/4 of your egg mixture. You want just enough to cover the crepe. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it's okay if it runs off the side a little bit. These will be rolled up and folded in the end. This cooked for about 2 minutes on this side, and then I flipped it over. And again, this is an entirely optional step. You can cook this entire crepe without ever turning it over. After about 90 seconds or so, you can flip the crepe back over so the egg side is up. You want your crepe to be crispy on the outside, so another option here is to add a little oil to the pan and then lightly fry the outside of the crepe. I have done it with oil and without, and both come out perfectly fine. This is just a different option for you. Fry it for 1.5 to 2 minutes and then begin to roll the crepe up like this into a cigar shape. Once you have it rolled, allow it to cook on each side for about 2 minutes just to get a little crispy. And again, that will depend on the heat of your pan. So now you want to reduce the heat again, wipe out the pan using a paper towel with the butter, and repeat this process. As you can see, this crepe has a small hole in it, and that's okay. Everything will come out fine in the end, and for this crepe I chose not to flip it once I added the egg, so you can see how that looks. So after about 3.5 minutes, you can see how well this egg is set up, and so now it's time to roll it into the cigar shape. and then cook it on each side for about 2 minutes until it's crispy. And yet another option to simplify this dish, I chose not to flip this crepe over at any time. It reduces the risk of the crepe not flipping correctly, but it comes out just perfect either way. Just repeat whatever process you choose to use for all of your crepes until all of your batter is used up. Allow this to cook for 3 or 4 minutes until the egg is set, and then roll it up. One day prior to going to work, and yes, I do have a full-time job right now, I decided to make myself some breakfast. Based on the ingredients I had that morning, I decided to make dan bing. So I added some sliced up cabbage and cheese to it. Without the cameras in the way, and allowing it much longer time to cook on each side, this was the result. It was crispy, and it was delicious. And I hope you get the chance to bring this Taiwan street food to your table one day soon. Thank you for watching, and please enjoy these other videos.